At the start of every carving, it's essential to wipe away any imaginary debris. Perfect. Now we can get started. This is day 10 of my 30 Days of Relief wood carving series, and in this episode I'm going to show you how I carve a convex scallop shell. I start, as I often do, by outlining the edge with my bendy boy chisel to help me create depth around the subject of the carving. I started removing waste with this curved edge chisel, then I could take my bendy boy chisel again and start to mark around the scallop. Whenever possible, I find it helps to size up the curves on your carvings with the size of the chisel that you already have. As you can see, I've used my incredible foresight to plan for this situation. Is what I'd be telling you if I did in fact plan for this, which I didn't. But luckily, they all fit perfect. Well, okay, not that one, but that one doesn't fit. But fortunately, I have a few different gouge shapes and sizes and had the right gouge for the job. Nice. So then I switched back to my shallower gouge to clear away a load of waste and bring the scallop shell higher off the board. If you were doing this yourself, you could save a lot of time by just cutting the scallop shape out of a board first and then sticking it onto a surface to carve it. Then you'd already have your 3D shape sticking out and no need to take away all the background. I decided to make it come further out of the board, and the quickest way to do that, in my brain at least, was to use a mallet with the gouge to get some really deep stop cuts. And after the waste was all gone, I decided to establish the deep lines of the carving before I took away any extra material. I wanted to do it this way because in the next stage, I take away all my pencil lines, as you always do with carving. I figured out the highest part of the carving would be this line here, so I could carve away and down from this point. The grain orientation wasn't great. Ideally, it would be another 90 degrees, but it's good to have a challenge now and then. So I started carving the scallop so it dove deep into the wood at the far ends and rose up slowly to the line we just drew. I started doing this with the bendy boy chisel, which has a flat edge, but soon realised that a curved edge would be a lot better. And incidentally, if anyone knows the name of this curved chisel, please let me know in the comments. The curve allowed me to take away waste more delicately and leave a much smoother surface. At this point, I'd like to thank my awesome patrons for supporting this channel, and this week we welcome another new Full Jaffa member, Patrick Baum. Thanks a lot, Patrick. We're starting to build up a really varied and fun community over on Patreon, and I'm flattered to get such support, which will help me tackle more ambitious projects, one of which I'm currently undertaking, so thank you very much, guys. After carving out the little triangular bits at the bottom of the shell, it was time to tackle the iconic sweeps of the scallop. I started doing this with a V chisel, mostly because I thought it would be enough to help me get that nice concave bend on each segment since the shell is kind of small. I should also point out that if you see me using a tool weirdly, it's because I'm trying to get a good shot for the camera, probably. Or maybe I'm just a fraud who has no idea what he's doing, you decide. My brain soon realised that I was going to need to use the bendy boy chisel again to make the segment lines deeper and the concave shape of each section more apparent. Luckily, this chisel is really fantastic for carving away tiny pieces and getting into narrow spots. Once again, I had to keep reminding my brain that the grain was going across the shell, and so I did a lot of small and sweeping cuts to make sure I was getting a nice smooth finish. People often ask me about the use of sandpaper, and to be honest, I barely ever use it. And it's not a way to say, oh well, my tools are so sharp and my skills so refined that sandpaper is beneath me. But rather, it's a stylistic choice. I don't really like how sandpaper muddies the details and it takes away all the facets that I tried so carefully to produce over such a long time. I will use it, however, to clean up any areas which I think might be sharp or scratchy to someone's hands, but I don't use it that often. And now you're thinking, Clint, how about all those times you stabbed the chisel into the background while you were carving the shell, thus messing it up? Don't worry, I'm gonna clean it up, see? Calm it. You're not my mum. I always grab a toothbrush at the end of these carvings to clean up any little bits of wood that have fallen into crevices or to break up those bits that kind of hang on. Then it's boiled linseed oil time once again. If you want to see the previous 9 days, I'm adding all these to a playlist as I upload them. There's a link in the description to the playlist. Next time I'm thinking we'll do the tree bark carving. That should be a pretty interesting one, I reckon. Thanks very much for watching, as always, and I will see you next time.